Well, what's up, folks? It is Tuesday night, 8 o'clock, on a special night that we're going to have on David Malandra Jr. from Last Out Media and the writer also for Philadelphia Sportsnet or PhiladelphiaSN. So he will be on with us here momentarily. We're going to be talking some NBA hoops, and we're going all around the playoffs. So if you're a Bucks fan, Nets fan like our little ducky here, along with the Sixers, who absolutely allowed Atlanta to come back. But we'll get into that with David. It was just a tough night overall, but hopefully the Sixers will bounce back tomorrow night as it will be back home. Maybe some home cooking, what's that old saying? The home cooking may do them just well. So lots to talk about. We'll have a fun night tonight, and then tomorrow night there'll be a bonus show for tomorrow. I'll explain that one later on. And also Joe Sharp. There is a video that I want to show you guys at the very end of the podcast, of the show, and talk about him as far as his sale video that he did solo. So that was a pretty good performance by him. So everyone else tonight, thank you for joining us. We're going to have a lot of fun as much as we possibly can. I am Angel. This is Broad Street South. Week, I happen to say it, and I will catch him one day just dancing. But for right now, here is Vito Corleone. And no drum roll. No, dude, you're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me.
The drum roll was going. I heard it.
I know, but you weren't doing your dance move. All right. Mikey, what's going on, Mikey?
Good. Tuesday night. Dave's in the house. Total Sixers. Series tied 2-2. Let's see what the hell's going on. Game 5 tomorrow. Phil's coming off a 4-game winning streak, of course, going out to L.A. last night losing, but no left runners in scoring position.
Yeah, once again, we've seen it too many times from the Phillies, and it seems to be their Achilles heel. I don't know what's going to take for them to get around it, but if everybody thought just because they were able to take out the Yankees, or in order the Stankies, as I love to call them, but they thought once they took them out that it was going to be one of those big things. The Phillies were going to go on a major winning streak. Unfortunately, it's not the case. They're playing L.A. as much as there are rivals as well. L.A. has much more bigger things to worry about as they're looking to become World Series contenders again, back-to-back. But again, we're only talking about the middle part of the season, so there's a lot of baseball to go yet. And we never know what's going to happen with the Phillies. Maybe we can get into it a little bit more as well with David. So we'll bring in our youngest beat writer, Nick Lisi, who happens to be also a Brooklyn Nets fan. And I'm pretty sure he'll be having a lot of fun tonight talking some Brooklyn Nets basketball here. So here is our beat writer. Ducky, how are you?
Shucky ducky, quack, quack, quack.
I'm doing good, fellas. 3 days into Clemson. We got Bucks next. Pivotal game 5 tonight. And my favorite, James Harden, making his return back for the boys. And we got a good one. We got David coming on. The versatile Swiss Army knife of sports. So I can't wait to hear what he's got to say. And I can't wait to see y'all get fired up. So let's do it.
I want to burn that jersey.
Yeah.
I'm going to torch it, gasoline, and light up that Brooklyn Nets, whatever you got.
We'll see what happens towards the end of the show here. No one never knows. And we'll bring on also here our national correspondent and maybe take a look of what's going on up here. Here is Ryan. So, Brian, now that I look at it, as I'm looking at the top of your head here, as you're walking yourself in, I did notice almost in the very last picture, almost identical. Just this time around, you have a lot less than the last picture. Ryan, how are you?
I'm Ryan Neff. It's great to be with you this evening, and we're going to get into it with Mr. Miranda. I told everybody about the Sixers and the Nets, what would happen if there were injuries. Nobody believed me. Ask Mr. Barrett Brooks from the middle show. We had that bet going. He lost the bet, and I actually put on Twitter today, I will double down on a 12-pack. I call for the Hawks to win the series. Hey, look, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I've doubled down on the 12-pack. and we're going to get into all this. We'll probably talk a little Phillies and whatnot, but I'm fired up. Ducky, you know they're going to use Mr. Harden tonight as a decoy, and I am constantly hearing about it, about Embiid and Harris, and there might be a little bit of infighting going on and people pointing fingers, and I don't think Joel Embiid's knee is going to hold up, and it is going to become an issue. But, Angel, we will get into all that.
Yeah, well, it's going to hold up, and I have no problem whatsoever thinking about it. It's going to end up holding up. But tonight's guest that we have on with us tonight, it is David Malandra Jr. And David, if everyone wants to follow him, by the way, just like we do here on Twitter, Dave M Reports. Okay, so at Dave M Reports. You guys, if you know David's work and you happen to see it, I will say out of the 24 hours of the day, he works 23:59. So there's only 1 minute, and that's the minute he goes to bed and then starts to all over again. But David, thank you so much for being on with us tonight. We really do appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Whatever you guys want, I'm here.
Nice. By the way, with if I also forgot to mention as well, again, and I know I mentioned it earlier, was David Wrights, the sports writer for PhiladelphiaSN, also with Last Out Media with John Crichton, John Barchard, and Vince Quinn. And those guys, I mean, great set of guys, a lot of fun, great studio. And I know Fuji had the opportunity of going up there earlier. He'll join us back here. There he is. Here he comes back into the screen. I know Fuji got the opportunity of going up there to the studio, but and he's gone again. He'll come back. Apparently he's having a little technical issues. Exactly. But listen, I just noticed that John actually put out today before we get the show started, the lineup of what you guys have over there at Last Out Media. I mean, the dream that he had, the vision, and now with the other three guys, I mean, congratulations to Last Out Media.
Yeah, we've been kicking ass lately since we have select access for certain Sixers games, and yeah, so it's been going pretty good so far.
Well, as I say, John Barchard, I mean, him and I have been friends for years, and I'm glad. Obviously, he had the baby as well, so congratulations to John. But John Crichton and I had a conversation that what I could see, which the same thing John could see, is that Last Out Media at one point or other will hope to get as big, if not bigger, than iHeartRadio, meaning the selection of shows, the people they have coming on. So at least that's my vision for Last Out Media. I could be wrong, but that's the way at least I see it.
Yeah, so far we're getting there, especially we have access with the select access with the Sixers. I think we have a little more access with the Philadelphia Union, and we're slowly trying to get the other ones involved.
That's right. Hey, it's a great thing. So it's a good time to be with Last Out Media. So that's absolutely awesome. I see the comments coming in. So you guys hold on here for a second. And David, as I take a breath here, last night, listen, how in the world, right? Just to start off right off the bat here, how in the world do you allow the Hawks to come back? And I don't know what happened in the second half, and especially the very beginning. It seemed like the Sixers just went 0 for 7 for 3-pointers, and I don't understand what it was for them just to go consistently for three instead of just getting in the paint. I don't know. So I'll start off with that question with you because it has driven me nuts for almost 24 hours now.
Doc Rivers said it perfectly. We got outplayed and got our asses kicked. So plain and simple. It was like Atlanta took it to them, and they tried to, what was the word he used? They tried to play hero ball was the word, exactly what he said. So basically, they made a run late. That last shot, like, what the hell was that? But
yeah,
regardless, they came out aggressive and they basically played down to their competition. That's what I've been hearing all day on the WIP 97.5 was all saying the same thing, that the Sixers played down to their competition, had a chance to go for the knockout shot tomorrow night. But we both know Game 5 determines the series 90% of the time.
It sure does. And the one thing, again, and I know Doc was trying to, make adjustments as much as he could as the game went throughout. The other question that I have as well, other than I don't know how defensively. Now I was watching the TNT halftime, and those guys were talking about how Atlanta needed to change up their defense. And I almost wanted to go back to TV and tell those guys, like, listen, thanks a lot for helping out Atlanta, because apparently they listened to you during the halftime show. Because they said it, all Atlanta had to do was pretty much put a defensive scheme together in the second half to end up winning the game. Well, sure enough. I mean, Shaq was right. Who else am I'm missing somebody else too.
Shaq was right. Kenny was
Charles
right.
Barkley was right.
Basically, anytime TNT says something, 90% of the time, it's dead on the money. So basically, I don't even trust half the crap that ESPN says. No, I need a buzz. I go with basically TNT all the time. And ironically, TNT is the home of the Eastern Conference Finals. So that's a little tidbit right there. And also, people don't know this, that Marv Albert's retiring at the end of this basketball season. And ironically, it's the Eastern Conference Finals they're going to have this year. So he potentially could have finals in New York, Philadelphia, possibly, I don't know, Atlanta. But I can tell you from the NBA side of things, the worst case scenario is they do not want Milwaukee, Atlanta. They do not want that as the conference final. No. They want Philadelphia and Brooklyn because of the bigger markets, bigger ratings, number one versus number two. That's exactly what they want. But worst case scenario, it's Atlanta and Milwaukee. Who the hell wants to see that? Answer is nobody.
Yeah,
Exactly. Straight facts.
Yep, that is true. And then my last question here before I turn over to here Fuji is that, again, we saw the flagrant foul by Ben Simmons. Okay, me personally, I will say I didn't see it. Then again, I'm not a ref, but to me, it wasn't as much as a flagrant foul as it was called last night. Then there was the follow-up foul. Who was it with? Was it a Bucks game? Somebody else last night that had also a flagrant foul, but that one was beyond deliberate. There was another game, but I know
Jokic, right? Jokic had the flagrant and got ejected.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that one was like kind of beyond at that point. But then again, we see it. I guess it was meant to be called. We also saw Joel Embiid, walking away from the ref, having some choice words that I won't repeat. Some people say it was towards the ref. Some people say it was towards the fans. So it's interesting to see how it ended up playing last night.
That's the thing about the fans of Atlanta. In Game 3, when Embiid went down and started grabbing his knee, the fans of Atlanta started cheering. But God forbid, saying if the Philly fans were cheering somebody from Atlanta got hurt, oh God, every national media people would have been up their asses basically raising Philadelphia fans are sick and disgusting. Oh really? The Atlanta fans did that on Friday night. On Monday, I watched all the shows. Nothing. Not even a word was mentioned about it.
Of course not.
No, but it's okay though. But anything that comes to Philadelphia, we know if something happens, you had the guy who spilled popcorn, right? Became the national headlines.
About that, they actually caught the guy. He was a season ticket holder, got his tickets revoked for life and banned from the arena for every event inside that building.
Yeah, which I mean, it's insane. But I understand the security measures they want to end up taking. But it's funny how you'll end up taking that story. You can run with it for days, and they always bring the one thing that drives me nuts about the media is it could be someone tripped over the sidewalk into the wells, but they'll relate it back to snowballs, Christmas, and friggin' Santa. It's a double standard. But I don't know. We'll get into more NBA talk here. But Fuji, I know you've got a nice, good question coming up here.
Dave, thanks for calling on. It's nice to meet you. I call it a good part of the game, and I mean, maybe the Sixers just flat out beat themselves, hands down. I mean, at the end when Trae Young was driving the lane, why didn't anybody just fail him?
Well, I don't know, it's just like Trae Young in this series it's been on another level. It's the first time in the playoffs, making it to the second round, first time in his career. So everybody's realizing, oh, damn, I didn't realize he was that good, but he is. But then the Atlanta Hawks tried to do what the Washington Wizards did in Game 4, which was hack at Ben. And started fouling Ben, sent him to the foul line to make his foul shots. Did he? He missed every other one he made. So that's basically Atlanta trying to steal what the Wizards tried to do. It almost worked, but not really.
Especially now with Danny Green out, who do you expect to step up off the bench?
Well, going into it, because they had no points in Game 1 of the bench. Like, how the hell can your entire bench not score any points? That makes no sense at all.
Exactly.
Yeah. And secondly, the bench showed up in Game 2, led by Shake Milton, which was huge. Game 3, they tore it up even more. Game 4, I don't know what the hell happened with the bench. So we know this was going to happen eventually. Then on top of that, I believe Shake Milton's going to tear it up in Game 5 because the crowd's going to be behind him. Korkmaz, who got the start for Danny Green, looked all right. He had a couple big shots. Now he needs to keep it consistently as he's going to be starting the rest of the series.
Another thing is,
point. All right, Fuj, all you, go ahead.
I was going to say, Matisse Thybulle, one of the defensive players of the year. How's he not on the court? Oh, how's he not have more minutes at all? I don't understand it.
I guess it's based off the matchups and the timing of it because Matisse Thybulle and Joel Embiid were just named to the NBA All-Defensive Second Team,
Yeah.
while Ben
Right.
Simmons was named to the First Team.
Exactly.
Good points there. David, I guess you mentioned Korkmaz. He was minus 13 last night. He was the worst player actually on the entire floor for the Sixers. Do you think Matisse Thybulle gets some starting minutes going into Game 5, or do you think they keep the lineup as they've got it? I mean, last night Maxey had 7 minutes, and he was supposed to be like the man, right? So, like, can you go a little bit into like what you think Philadelphia is going to have to do lineup wise to potentially take Game 5?
Well, put it this way, their backs, it basically goes like this. Korkmaz had his opportunity to show up, and he had his moments. Mostly he's known for that when he comes in and hits the three-pointer. Thibault comes in if you need to shake things up on the defensive side of the ball. So now if you look at it this way, Ben Simmons needs to stay on Trae Young from the start. No questions asked. So basically going into the Washington series, you thought, what was it? Danny Green could not guard Trae Young in Game 1. Not even close. And what led to the shakeup of Ben Simmons had to stay on Trae Young. And we know that's going to be like that for the rest of the series.
Look,
Good point there.
go ahead.
All right. I'm going to ask one more question here for you. Joel Embiid, 4 of 20, 17 points, 21 rebounds. End of the game. This is that wide open layup. You expect another bad performance from him like this, or do you think he bounces back?
No. Embiid has not, I've noticed lately, he has not had a stretch of back-to-back dreadful performances. And knowing Game 5 back in front of over 20,000 plus at the Wells Fargo Center, come on. There's no way.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's no way in hell if he goes out and has a bad performance tomorrow night. And if he were, good, you know he will hear it all night long. Especially the reputation, especially coming into this series. The big question was, when would the Sixers bring in the famous bell ringer of Triple H or Shawn Michaels of DX? How the hell do you lose that game when you have them in the building?
Exactly.
That makes no damn sense at all. So now you got a redemption and bring that back either for Game 5 or for Game, God forbid if this goes to a Game 7. But from the NBA side of things, they hope this series goes 7. And same for the Brooklyn-Milwaukee series. They hope that goes 7 as well. Because out west, it's going to be Phoenix against Utah. And that may draw some okay ratings, but...
You watched the Clippers lately?
Yeah, well, the Clippers are making things interesting, but the league is hoping they get the 1 seed out west. Utah coasted all the way to the final to take on the 1 seed in the East, which will be the ideal situation. But we know that's not going to happen. No way at all. If Embiid... If he's having a lot of problems with his knee, which we know he is, we don't know if Doc Rivers is continuously to monitor what's going on. He should not have played as many minutes as he did last night. He should not, because you saw late how gassed out Embiid was. He should not have played that as many minutes as he did last night.
Bottom line for me, Dave, is this when it came to the Sixers last night. When Dwight Howard and Joel Embiid are more worried about getting into it with the fans. Like Embiid came, like I saw an article today, like Embiid was sick of the Atlanta fans. Dude, if you're getting in with the fans, you are not focused. The man went 0 for 12 yesterday in the second half. He's clearly hurt. I don't think the knee is going to hold up. I really don't. Now you have only a 1-day turnaround to come back and play in Philly. I just think I personally, silently, think that the Sixers are in a little bit of trouble. And I've said this to a couple of my Atlanta Hawk friends, if I were Atlanta, I would let Embiid do his thing and make sure I'm stopping Simmons and Harris. Because to me, everybody focuses on Embiid. I think Tobias Harris is the main cog that makes everything go. Tobias was going off the first half. What did Tobias Harris do in the second half? Just like everybody else, squat. You know Simmons isn't going to step up to the plate because he has a history of not stepping up to the plate. So Jake Milton is like, well, I have a good game, then I have 3 crappy ones, then I have a good game, then I have 3 crappy ones. Nobody on this team seems to, especially off the bench, seems to be able to step up to the plate. I'm in the minority. I just think that the Sixers are in a little bit of trouble because, look, the Sixers were hoping to go up 3-1 because if Embiid is hurt that bad, you come back to Philly, you sit him for game 5. Let him get a little bit of rest. I mean, I don't know what you're hearing internally, what your thoughts are. And look, I've said this to a couple other people too. You got to remember who the Sixers coach is. Other than 2007 through 2009, the man doesn't have the greatest track record in the playoffs. So again, Dave, I'm just trying to pick your brain. What you're hearing? Are fans nervous? Or I'm just trying to get a pulse on what everybody's thinking, because everything I'm hearing is, oh, we got game 5. We'll win this easy. It's just like when we lost game 1. I think this has a little bit different flavor to it.
Well, I'll put it this way. There's more added pressure now on the Sixers knowing what's going on in the Milwaukee-Brooklyn series after they saw Brooklyn just wipe the floor with Milwaukee through the first 2, and then Milwaukee comes back and just smacks them around for the last 2 games. Mm-hmm. So the NBA is like, we're in trouble with that series too. So they're hoping that goes 7 games and sets up everything on the line for the East Final. But Ben Simmons even said it perfectly today. Like, he said that after the game last night was he should have been more aggressive and attacking from the start. And Doc Rivers even perfectly said it today. He was like, I couldn't agree with more of what Ben Simmons said. He should have been more aggressive, basically more being a facilitator, basically not as far as shooting, but basically being more just distributing, getting to the lane. Even Doc Rivers said all season one, he doesn't care if Ben basically takes a shot or has a jump shot and starts making it. As long as he gets in the lane, distributes the ball. As we know, he's one of the more aggressive guys getting into the lane and facilitating and passing the ball around. But as we know, a lot of people have been asking Doc Rivers saying, what's wrong with Ben? How come he can't shoot the ball? Doc was like, I don't see what the big fixation is. Ben has done more things for this team besides not have a shot, which that is a problem. But he knows that, and he needs to get it fixed. But regardless, Ben has to stay more aggressive from the start. As you saw in the second half, he started taking off and just saying, that's it. I'm taking over. That is it. So now the question for him is, can he stay aggressive more than one game?
Dave, just to get back to what you were saying, I mean, Ben's been in the league a couple years. You know, the playoffs the cream always rises to the top. Now, you should come prepared mentally. I mean, you shouldn't have to say, I should be more aggressive. I mean, you were drafted number 1. Like, you're one of the best defensive players in the league. You shouldn't even have to say you're aggressive. You should already be pumped up and fired up and ready to go for every game. This is the big time. You want to win the championship? Step up and strap a set of brass ones on and let's go for the gusto. I mean, you shouldn't even have to put it out there. It just fires me up. Like, I could put my head through this concrete wall here.
Well, that's what a lot of people thought what was going on when they drafted Markelle Fultz instead of Jason Tatum. Well, Markelle Fultz was not what's the word they used? His psyche was not ready for the big time market like Philadelphia. But Jason Tatum, for where he was able to handle the big market that is at Boston. But as you saw, Markelle has done very well in Orlando because Orlando is not considered a big market city because when you have like 4 pro teams at the same time going at it, you know you're going to be on the microscope every single day. Like a city like Orlando, not as much.
Dude, I want to ask you this.
It's just a.
Oh, my bad. All right.
Go ahead, Doc.
Joel Embiid is eligible now for the Supermax. 2023-2024 makes $42.5 million. 24-25, 46, 25-26, 49, 26-27, $52.8 million. Would you sign him to the Supermax right now?
No.
Why?
Not yet. I'll let him go one more season and then max him out because we know Ben Simmons is also going to be off for that as well.
Yeah.
So do you give both of them at the same time? No. You go back to back. You either give it to Ben first and then Joel, or you give them both at the same time. Regardless, they're both going to get it. They are the face of this team. They ain't going nowhere. The only way they're out of here if somebody says, we'll give you 4 first-round picks straight up.
Right.
Dave,
if a team came to me and said they'll give me 4 first-round picks for Ben or Joel, I would seriously consider it. But honestly, no team's gonna be that dumb enough to do that.
Dave, let me ask you something point blank about Ben Simmons. Barring but no collapse, is Ben Simmons back next year with the 76ers?
Yes. Basically, the way how this team has looked all season, you never saw this under Brett Brown. Not even remotely close. You bring in a guy like Doc Rivers, who has won a championship with the likes of Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen. And he's coming in off of a crazy situation that the NBA went through last year, having everything in the bubble in Orlando. The Sixers were never mentally in it when they went to the bubble in Orlando. Not even close. It was written all over the wall. They were never ready for it. They were sick and tired of basically seeing, what was the word? They didn't have it. They were not mentally in it. So it was basically, you know what? Being swept in the first round was basically a blessing in disguise for them.
Right.
What led to saying, okay, there has to be a shakeup. And you know what? There you go. It turned out to be one. Brett Brown had to go. We knew Brett was not going to be the long-term answer. So
exactly.
they just brought him in just to go through the lumps, up and down, blah, 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 whatever it was going to be. And you know what? It basically got one of the biggest names in the NBA, Doc Rivers, who is, like I mentioned before, won a championship, who knows how to change players around. Even Embiid and Simmons both said playing for Doc Rivers has changed their personalities around. And then on top of that, it changed everybody around. Tobias Harris has looked differently. You bring in a veteran like Danny Green, who basically won a championship, and Dwight Howard with the Lakers in the bubble last year. So they know what it takes.
Right.
Dave, go ahead, Fuj.
No, I was going to say, especially Dwight Howard, as long as he's been in the NBA, just, winning a championship last year and having that experience, bringing it to the Sixers with Embiid and just getting in his ear and, this is how you do things. This is what champions are made of, and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Hey, let me ask you this. Regardless of what happens this year, and you're saying Simmons and Embiid and Harris, the nucleus of the team, they're going to stay. I've said for the last couple of years that if this team really wants to really go to the next level and stay there for a while, I always said, take Ben off the point. Let him and Embiid work the box. Get yourself a decent, viable point guard somewhere. And then I think they could go to the next level for the next 3-4 years. And then I always get pushback about, well, it's working this way. And now Doc's here and he'll be able to, he'll know what to do. But let's face it. Ben Simmons is not going to develop a jump shot. Okay. I mean, he hasn't. He has a certain game that works. And I just think that with both him and Embiid down on the box, let them work. I think they could be a deadly combination, but they need – Steph Curry isn't the answer. Milton's not the answer. They're just sort of like plug-ins. I mean, say what you will about Milton. I just think he's too inconsistent. What do you think the team really needs going forward, regardless of what happens this year?
Well, put it this way. Veteran leadership, which we knew they needed them, especially when you had under Brett Brown, none of the guys, what's the word I'm looking for here, didn't show that extra fire they had.
Right.
So, well, they made it to the second round against Boston 2 or 3 years ago and got blasted in 5 games. That was their first time in the second round in God knows how long. They beat Miami in that playoff series, which was, okay, the first playoff series win under Brett Brown and Embiid Simmons era, which was, okay, are they going? This is a slow step to get where they need to be. Yeah, we knew that was not going to happen that long. Doc Rivers comes in, changed the mentality. But now, as some of you may have seen all season, before the fans were allowed back in, you would have seen these videos posted by all the Sixers beat guys, like many of them, as you noticed, seen like Dwight Howard, Simmons, Tyrese Maxey, the first round pick, Danny Green, and others come out on the floor 2 hours after the game's over at the Wells Fargo Center, putting up shots after the game's over. You never saw that under Brett Brown. You never saw that. Under Doc Rivers, they basically changed the mentality around. So basically now they just need a legit point guard, which they have in Tyrese Maxey. He is the steal of the draft. No questions asked.
Played 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Played 7 minutes last night.
I don't think so as well. I mean, I like to see what Shake Milton's going to do. And you're right, as far as going back to what you said earlier, as far as game 2, the bench lit it up in game 2. They came off really strong. And in game 3, it was kind of, I guess, mediocre, I will say. Last night, once again, it was just, I don't know. I mean, you're looking at, you're going into 18-point half, as Tom had meant the comment here, and I will bring it back up. Tom says they were up by 18, and what the hell happened? And he follows it up with, do you think get rid of Jimmy Butler was a big mistake? And you can answer that one here in a second. But you look at the bench overall, and I just don't know. It was almost like they went out shut down. I mean, we've seen, and I hate to bring up the Eagles in this situation, but we've seen Doug, come out either really strong in the first half and then take his foot off the gas. And it seemed like not Doc, but the rest of the Sixers did exactly that. They came out strong second half, like they put their foot off the gas. And if you're going to beat
competition,
so if you're going to beat Atlanta, you cannot beat Atlanta by just thinking, all right, we're just going to come in here and make one or two adjustments, and we're not going to cover Trae Young as much as we did in the first half. When you shut down Trae Young, it made a huge difference that first half versus the second half when Trae Young basically came back after icing on his shoulder, came out there, and he was just playing fire. So I don't know. I just hope tomorrow night it's going to be a whole different story, at least what I hope. But getting back to Tom's question here, does Philly feel like they made a big mistake by getting rid of Jimmy Butler?
Well, when you bring in a player like Jimmy Butler, he had the mentality of, he changed the whole culture around when he showed up. They started winning, become more aggressive, and fans got behind him. But we all know in the end, who was going to have the ball in their hands down the stretch when it mattered the most?
Right.
It was not going to be Jimmy. It was going to be Embiid and Simmons, 1 and 2. There was going to be no number 3. Tobias Harris is learning the hard way as well, because he's the number 3 in this situation. So that's why they decided to give the max to Tobias instead of Jimmy.
Listen, that's true. And I will say, if maybe what the Sixers need, I don't know. I could be nuts. Maybe Doc Rivers tonight and Ben Simmons and I don't know, Thibault can get together and just fire up a nice cigar from Goose's Monte Cristo Lounge and Tobacconist. And they can just, go out there and sit at the barbecue pit, do something, just, put that stogie out there and just say, hey, we can do better tomorrow night. But I mean, all of us are excited. I still think the Sixers can do it in 6 games. I don't see why they can lose a series to Atlanta other than beating them themselves, which we've seen. But I will love if someone got together too with Brett Brown. I know it's kind of hard. You got to let go by the team. But, and not saying as far as a comeback, but get like Brett's understanding of, what it was when he was here versus what he's not. And I'm just saying from a fan base, because I would love to know how Brett Brown feels at this point. He knows he tried to get there as best as he possibly could. And unfortunately, it came up short for Brett. But listen, I have no doubt whatsoever Doc Rivers will make the necessary adjustments. And if he needs to get in these guys' face, then do so. But don't let it slip away as it did. If I had a brick, those phony bricks, there was a commercial years ago where they had that phony brick you could throw it to the TV so you won't actually break your TV with the brick. That's what it felt like last night, because it was just utterly disgusting. And if I felt that way down here in Tampa, I can only imagine what the Philly faithful felt like back home. So it was just horrible, horrible, horrible.
Well, this is thing from the NBA. They just announced the All-NBA team, and Sixers Joel Embiid has been named to the All-NBA second team, joining him with Dame Lillard, Chris Paul, Julius Randle, and LeBron. The first team was named by Kawhi Leonard, Jokic, Luka, Steph Curry, and Giannis.
Well, listen, I think personally, I'm just saying it. I'm not a huge LeBron fan. I think he's overrated at this point.
And the third team was named by Bradley Beal, Paul George, Rudy Gobert, Kyrie, and somebody named Jimmy Butler.
No. Hey, listen,
Speaking of,
we'll see. The offseason should come around. We never know. Stranger things have happened here in Philly. Who knows what's going to happen come next year? The Sixers know they got places and needs where they need to be. Thankfully for them, the salary cap is not a huge issue for them. So that's a great thing, at least for the Sixers. The Eagles is a whole different story, but we'll see. I mean, there's plenty of basketball left in the Sixers and with Doc Rivers, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. But I want to kind of flip it real quick over before, because I know you may have or may not have limited time here, but Phillies, we saw the weekend series, right? And we've seen the Yankees come to town.
I was there Saturday for the walk-off.
So was I.
And yeah, Vito was there as well. So in the extra, Vito, that was the one thing I forgot to put was a footage of the celebration going on there at the bank. But we've seen the Yankees come into town. Obviously, we saw in 2009, which I still can't. That burns me so bad to watch these guys give up.
I was actually at Game 5 of that 09 World Series where Utley blasted 2 shots out.
Yeah, well, listen, there's one thing that it drives me insane
is
that
Milwaukee Bucks. Forget that. Brooklyn's going down.
Yeah, that's what I love to hear.
We'll get to Dougie's Brooklyn Nets here in a moment, but you know, Dave, it was just one of those things that I'm really glad. I'm happy, first of all, because my sister's a Yankees fan. She will be here tomorrow visiting, so I can't wait to see my sister. But she's a Yankees fan, like a lot of New Englanders and posers and anybody else out there. But I'm glad that the Phillies were able to pull it off, especially when you're up. Was it 7-2? You almost end up blowing the game whatsoever. Hector Neris, I know he's getting a lot of grief. Don't get me wrong, because when you went in the moment as a fan, keep it real here. As a fan, you're wondering, you're telling Joe, what are you thinking? Why is Hector still in the game? Get the guy out there. They launched 3-run home run. Everything is tied. Thankfully, in the 10th inning, the Phillies are able to come back and obviously win the game, 8-7 once again, thanks to Gene Segura. But and someone I heard today's one of the radio stations somewhere, they were saying if Gene would, matter of fact, it might have been WIP maybe yesterday. Will Gene ever get to 3,000 hits? I don't see it from Gene Segura, but listen, who knows? Who knows what can end up happening? But Phillies end up taking the series, and then of course they go to LA, lose last night. Do we see another loss from the Phillies tonight?
Nah, they'll bounce right. They'll bounce back tonight because tomorrow that's the marquee pitching match. We got Clayton Kershaw against Zach Wheeler tomorrow.
Yeah, that should be a good one.
I mean, getting into it about last night, I mean, Spencer Howard was like 60-some pitches besides giving up that 2-run homer.
Mm-hmm.
And, Girardi yanks him. And
well, they tried to get him to go through 5 innings is the goal to try to get him, because apparently he's still not developed enough.
right.
So basically, that's what the whole issue is with Spencer Howard is that. Yeah, so basically, it's there's not their development with some of their players lately has not lived up to par. Don Brown, no. Who else am I thinking of? There's a couple other guys.
I could be here all night.
Well, Ryan Howard, Chase Utley, and J-Roll lived up to the hype. The other guys,
I mean, if you want to go way back, we could do a whole show on bad Phillies draft picks from here to eternity and to hell and back.
Tommy Joseph, he didn't live up to the hype.
Yeah.
Well, was in the Hunter Pence deal.
Bryce Harper, has he lived up to the hype?
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
yes. You throw $330 million at him, you better live up to the damn hype.
Oh, of course.
That's why I don't think he's lived up to it.
So, well, you figure, you tell me, how would you feel when you get hit in the face with a fastball going 97 miles per hour? Your psyche and your reaction time is still not the same yet. He's still trying to get his motion back.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
It's going to take a little bit for him to get back, but I'm telling you, he's there. He's lived up to everything that he knows. Playing down in Washington, D.C., nobody really cared about the Nationals. Really. Nobody. After he left, they're like, oh, we may actually have a shot at something. And what do you know? They won the World Series. Big whoop, because there's nobody that basically the year the Nationals won the World Series, nobody really cared.
Right.
Nobody.
True.
Nobody cared at all. But when Harper came up here, best thing that ever happened. I'm telling you, woke the fan base up a little bit more. It had the feel of 2007, 2008, all over again.
Right.
Just had the feel like saying, okay, we got a big dog here. We have a consistent pitching lineup. We may make some noise.
Dave,
Now going out and getting JT Realmuto, Zach Wheeler last year, D.D. Gregorius.
And you bring in the life of a Joe Girardi, who, ironically, John Middleton even came out and said he wanted to sign the guy that took his bleeping trophy away from him.
Right.
Dave, two-parter here real quick. I mean, I can't talk smack at baseball because my Pirates absolutely suck out loud. But
As long as you admit it.
hey, I'll be the first one to admit they are a minor league baseball team. But besides that, Dave, I still think the Braves are going to catch fire and win the National League East. Do you think the Phillies can hang? And if they are hanging come All-Star break, what potential moves do you see them making, or if they make any moves at all to make a push?
Well, where they stand right now, they're in second place, which is good at this point, which is good. Basically, their Achilles heel, the Marlins. Are you kidding me? The Marlins. Of all teams, what is it with the state of Florida that the Phillies have a lot of problems with? They can't beat the Tampa Rays. That's embarrassing. The Marlins, I don't know what their excuse is, but regardless, they can hang with the Braves. They can definitely hang with the Mets. The Nationals, they don't have any issues with. They can hang with them. It's just that series, that last game, those last 3 games in October will basically decide if this team's really a playoff team or not against the Marlins.
What's your thoughts on the substance? What's your thought on this, on the whole substance, cracking down on the pitchers with the substance stuff? Do you like it or no?
I didn't hear much about that, so I had no response to that yet.
Okay.
But I can tell you, my timeline was blowing up today, not because of anything Philadelphia sports related. No, because some of the other sports I cover, today it was blowing up because of out in Las Vegas, the contract was signed today for the third fight between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, big one. July, right? Is that one set in July?
July 24th. So basically, this summer is loaded for combat sports. Basically, give you a little example. This Saturday night down in Miami, of all places, they're having the pay-per-view, the Thriller pay-per-view headlined by the undisputed lightweight champion, Teofimo Lopez, will defend his titles against George Kapolukas this Saturday night. Then next week, you got Gervonta Davis headlining a Showtime event. July 10th, the return of Conor McGregor against Dustin Poirier for the third time. So because they each have a win against each other. So that's going to be awesome to see. Then July 24th, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury 3. Then August 21st, you got Manny Pacquiao versus Errol Spence for the welterweight championship. Then the week after that, you have some guy named Jake Paul taking on Tyrone Woodley in a sanctioned 12-round fight under Showtime, because Jake Paul apparently signed I believe it was a 4-fight deal with Showtime, so all his fights are going to be on Showtime now.
Wow.
Dave, to get on, continue with boxing. Do you ever see like the heavyweight division ever getting back to where it once was, or there's just not that many good heavyweights out there at all?
No, the heavyweight division is right where it needs to be right now. Wilder and Fury is bringing more attention back to it. The winner, whoever wins on July 24th, will determine everything. If Tyson Fury wins, then you're looking at in November, Tyson Fury against Anthony Joshua for all the heavyweight supremacy. But if Wilder wins, you know there's going to be a 4th fight to settle the score, because it'll be a win by Fury, a win by Wilder, and there's a draw in there as well. So there's going to be a 4th one between these two, and it's going to happen regardless if Wilder wins, which honestly, I think Wilder's going to win big.
Dave, the Mayweather Logan Paul thing, was that just like a joke? Is boxing getting desperate? Or do you think, see, I'm going to be 53 years old, and I remember what boxing used to be. So I'm just wondering if boxing is getting desperate to try and get back to the way, I mean, it's never going to be the way it used to be. But is boxing just getting desperate at this point, do you think?
No. Basically, a lot of people boxing is right where it needs to be with certain fights. But the problem is, many of these champions in these weight classes are not unifying the titles. That's the problem with the sport right now. If you look at the UFC and you look at Bellator, they give the fans what they want. They want to see unified title fights. They want to see the number one guy against the number two to eliminate them to face a champion. So it's going to happen regardless. But the whole Floyd Mayweather Logan Paul thing, that was an absolute train wreck. But I understand why it was done. Because Logan Paul had one other boxing match in his career, and he got obliterated. Mayweather, on the other hand, is coming off one of the more successful careers he had, especially taking on Conor McGregor, which drew, if I'm not mistaken, 1.96 million pay-per-view buys, the second highest pay-per-view of all time. So he saw an opportunity to say, you know what? A Sunday night in June, nothing's going on. What the hell? Let me see what I can do. And apparently it did 1.2 million pay-per-view buys.
Yeah.
Dave,
Celebrity boxing is here to stay.
That,
Dave,
on the other hand, was an absolute disaster last Friday in Atlantic City when you had Lamar Odom and Aaron Carter go at it with Chuck Liddell as the referee. What?
Yeah.
When I first heard about this, I was like, oh, who the hell put that fight together? Then I looked, I was like, oh, never mind. It was, we knew that fight was going to be put on by Damon Feldman, which is, don't get me wrong, I've been to some of his fights. They've been very entertaining. This one, on the other hand, I don't understand it, but it turned out to be comical about the whole situation.
Dave, do you see Mike Tyson fighting again anytime soon?
Yes, there is talks about him and Lennox Lewis going at it again.
Wow.
Under the Thriller pay-per-view brand, because
Exhibition?
apparently, yeah, it will be an exhibition. And then what else we got? There is
No knockouts?
Balboa Drago?
no and no, but
Creed 4.
yeah, something like that. But they had there was a rumor going around about Kevin McBride, the guy that basically ended Mike Tyson's career, taking on Evander Holyfield, supposed to happen this weekend. But I don't know if that fight's even going to happen or not. But apparently the contract was signed, but nobody knows if that's still going to be on the pay-per-view or not. But regardless of that, the UFC is tearing it up big, especially if there's a Philly connection in the UFC that's going to be on the undercard of the Conor McGregor pay-per-view. Sean Brady.
Huh.
Dream celebrity fight? What would it be?
Dream celebrity fight?
Yeah. I'm thinking Ryan Neff and Mike Fuji, but maybe that's biased.
That ain't no challenge.
It's
like Tyson Spinks.
Logan
91
Paul, Jake
seconds.
Paul. Would you want to see Logan Paul, Jake Paul?
That would be interesting. But no, the one I would, well, actually Logan would probably win. But I want to see Jake Paul and Floyd Mayweather. If that ever happens, I'm hooked on that.
Gotcha hat.
Yep.
We got
Ducky.
jokes. Ducky's got jokes tonight.
He sure does. And by the way, Ducky
Bad
Cornish, we
jokes.
are going to get into it tomorrow night. So don't worry about it, Ducky. We're going to get more into boxing tomorrow night, some other things as well, because I know we wanted to talk about that. But also, I lost my train of thought here momentarily. But MMA, we've seen it take off. I mean, it's Joe Rogan has added to what Dana White has continued, even though that Dana White said he wasn't going to be as much as involved. But you can't have MMA without Dana White. I'm sorry, without both of those two guys. Not, at least not in my opinion. Is to me, MMA is basically will be here to stay until Dana White decides to really kind of like pack it up and walk away. And I think when he does, unless there's someone to take over between both of them, I don't see it anytime soon. But I think that's when MMA will kind of dissipate, I guess you want to call it correctly. But the world of boxing, it hasn't been the same in years. And again, I'll leave it up to Ducky Talk tomorrow night. But it's been beast mode. It has been crazy with MMA.
I can honestly tell you firsthand, covering both boxing and the MMA world, the UFC has been trying, if I'm not mistaken, trying to have Joe Rogan do less events but save him for pay-per-views only. So they've been developing the likes of Daniel Cormier Paul Felder, Dominic Cruz, and Michael Bisping to be taking over for those in-house shows like those UFC fight nights. So that's why you don't see Joe Rogan on those. You see him on the major pay-per-views, unless if it's out in the not in the United States, then who knows if he'll travel to it or not. But as you've seen, he's been on pay-per-view only. But the other ones have been like I was mentioning, Paul Felder, Michael Bisping, Daniel Cormier, and Dominic Cruz have been tearing it up. And then on the boxing side of things, ever since HBO left, Showtime has been blowing the doors off of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Showtime has been blowing the doors off the entire sport, but the PBC has been catching up, and they have been taking it over. Fox has been starting to do some big fight nights, especially the August 21st Manny Pacquiao Earl Spence. That is a Fox pay-per-view event.
No, it's going to be for years to come. All I know is it's going to get better. I mean, these guys, you see so many of the younger guys getting into it now. I mean, again, UFC is going to be phenomenal for many years to come. And I know.
Yeah. And another thing with the UFC, there's a Philly guy on the new season of The Ultimate Fighter.
Ooh.
Yeah, he was
check it out.
In the first episode. He was in the first fight and he won. He's considered in the middleweight or the bantamweight division.
Well, and there's an interesting card here that I just saw up there. It would be so. Just to kind of catch you up here. So our guy right above Ryan there, we like to call him Ducky. It's Nick Lisi, but so he was roommates with Trevor Lawrence last year, and it, we talked about it every single week when Nick came on. But that would be a good match. It would be Nick against Trevor Lawrence, and do we do? But Ryan, do we do boxing or do we do MMA with both of those guys?
It wouldn't matter, but I would pay to see that.
We'd have to do boxing because I don't think either of us know any MMA, and I could toss one with the right, but he's got to drop. He's got to drop to 180 if I'm fighting him. How about that? He's right now like 215. He's got to drop to 180.
You'd have to stick Ducky on stilts.
Ducky against Sunshine.
Now, the other thing before we kind of get things a little bit wrapped up, because there's a couple of things I want to mention towards the end. But so Dave, Nick wrote an article which will be up momentarily here on BroadStreetSouth.com. But he talked about the expansion here of what the college football program is trying to do in the college football playoffs, and as how they're trying to handle things for next season, which if they're able to get it in by next season, I know they got votes and all that good fun stuff for the NCAA. But I will leave this one up there to Ducky because Dougie put together a really great article. Again, that'll be out momentarily. But Dougie, if you want to kind of break down exactly the way you stated, at least the way you projected.
Yeah, so I've been big against the 12-team playoff. I think it's just a way for SEC teams to get power. I think it's an SEC move to try to get power. I think too many SEC teams are going to be in, and I think we'll see that in the committee. But basically what I did is I wrote an article. I broke down kind of the last 4 years of the playoff. And pretty much, I really don't think any of the champions change. I really don't think anything changes with a 12-team playoff. I think it's a money grab, and I think it's a failed sense of hope for some of these, non-Power 5 teams to make it. But what are your thoughts? You do a lot for Penn State, and I think Penn State would definitely benefit from having that 12-team playoff. But what are your thoughts?
Well, that's been the whole debate about this whole college football playoff. One, ESPN gets final say on 90% of it since they control the whole damn thing regardless, because they get the rights to all the playoff games and including the title game, which no brainer. Fox is trying to jump in and try to get some of the action, but ESPN has shut them down regardless. Mm-hmm. But Fox basically took they took half of the Big Ten contract from ESPN, and Fox and ESPN is pissed about that. But ESPN also lost the contract to the Big East as well. And why do you think Fox's ratings during college basketball season have been through the roof? Because of the Big East Conference, because they're not on ESPN anymore. So that's a whole nother battle I have when it comes to the college basketball side of things. But college football, I understand why they want to go to 12 teams, because it's going to be the usual 4 teams. Clemson, Alabama, and who's that third team I'm thinking of? Clemson,
Oklahoma,
Alabama.
Georgia, Like,
No,
there's like
no.
they're just better.
Go ahead.
Ohio
say it.
State.
He doesn't want to say the name. He's
The
not going to.
Buckeyes, the pain in the ass Buckeyes at times, but regardless, Penn State had opportunities. They just could not get the job done. Plain and simple. The one year they should have been in it was when they took down, what was it? When they were undefeated, blew it against Minnesota. That was their opportunity. When they were the 1 year they had, I think it was one loss, went to Michigan State, blew it. Basically, Penn State has had chances. They just could not get the job done. Plain and simple. So now this is the year to do it. If they're going to expand to 12 teams, this is the year to do it. And especially Penn State's first home game, which will be September 11th against Ball State, which that should be a win. But their real test will be the week after, September 18th, at home, Saturday night primetime ABC game against Auburn.
Again, good stuff coming up. We also know the Summer Olympics is coming up, and it's going to be interesting to see how those athletes handle themselves after like having basically an additional year to train leading up to the Summer Olympics. I mean, that's going to be grueling on the body, but I know they're dying to get out there.
That's why the NBA only did 72-game regular season. So they would end it the second week in July. So if any of those players that continue to play into the NBA Finals are named to their national teams, they get a week or 2 weeks to rest up before they head over.
Yeah, which is going to be, listen, it's going to be tough, but I'm looking forward. I always look forward to the summer games anyways. It's a lot of fun. I mean, the winter games are pretty cool, but there's nothing like the summer games. I'm sorry. It's just me. I prefer it more than the winter games. But David,
the summer games, it's more embarrassing this year because there's no USA men's soccer in the Olympics, which is embarrassing. The women's team is always going to be dominating the sport regardless. But not having the men's national team in failed, third Olympics failed, missed the last 3 World Cups. What the hell is going on with them? It's kind of embarrassing.
Sure is. And the women are picking up right where they left off. I mean, listen, I know that Megan Rapinoe, she mentioned about as far as the dollar to dollar when it comes to the women and the men. Again, who can argue with Megan Rapinoe? Honestly, God, I mean, we can. I know it's been debated for the longest. Me personally, I was an advocate, and Amy Rivera, a good friend of mine, she can back me up when I said it. That to me, the women should get paid, and I know it comes out to viewership and dollars and blah 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 and this and that. But I tell you what, when the women are kicking the crap out of the men, the U.S. men's soccer team, and I understand that. I know they went the whole CONCACAF thing with the men, and God, surprisingly, they end up winning. But the women, come on, and hands down, women deserve to get paid a lot more than they're getting paid right now. But it's a whole different discussion, Nate, for a whole different day. So we'll have the discussion later on. But I want to bring on, before you leave, because I know I want to talk to you off air as well, so don't go anywhere. But one guy they just said real quick, they said, hello, homies. And Joe Sharp, by the way, hi, David from Boston. I do see you. And I want to bring this up when it comes to Joe. Joe has been with the show for a while. And he sent me something today, and I want to share with everybody because I thought it was kind of neat. Now, we do have a sports life and entertainment show here as far as when it comes to the podcast, but Joe did, which I think, in my own opinion, a phenomenal job. If you guys remember Sail from AWOL Nation, the song itself, don't ask me to sing it because I would butcher it so bad.
Yeah, please don't.
Well, thank you. And I'll make sure I won't do it. But I told him that I wouldn't. Yeah, not this time around. But I do want to show, and I always have to put a disclaimer out here, even though we do know Joe Sharp, who is a friend of the show, YouTube, Facebook. Once again, I do not own the rights to this, what you're about to see, but it is available for public domain. I always got to put it out there because other than that, they'll shut down the show, guaranteed every single time. But I want to put this out there. As I said to Joe earlier, I want you guys to listen in and give me your own opinion here at the very end. I think he did, an outstanding job with Addison Scott there. So here, without further ado, is his version of Sail. And you guys will remember the song as soon as you start to hear it.
How I show my love. I made it in my mind because 'cause blame it on my ADD, baby. This is how an angel cries. I blame it on my own sick pride. I blame it on my ADD, baby. Sail, 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 sail. Maybe I should cry for help. Maybe I should kill myself. Blame it on my ADD, baby. Maybe I'm a different breed. Maybe I'm not listening. So blame it on my ADD, baby. Sail, 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 la 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 la. La 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 la, la 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 la. Ooh. Sail, 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 sail. We into the dark.
Joe Sharp, everybody, it's amazing. Listen, again, I said it to him earlier today when I spoke to him, and again, I defy for someone else to put out a nicer rendition, but Joe, excellent job, my friend. It sounds so good, and I love, as I told him, the way they did it in black and white because it adds more to that particular song. So great job by Joe Sharp. Thank you for allowing us to share it, and again, the lighters, by the way, because when you get a good song, as Ryan did there, as long as you get a good song, anytime you're at a concert somewhere else, you see the phones, the lighters up in the air. So great job there by our national correspondent. So Joe, thanks again. If you have any other tunes that you always put out there. Oh, and by the way, do I have them on here? No, I did like and subscribe there to their page. I think if I can bring it back, there it is. Brandy Wine Media Group. By the way, let me pause that for a second. But Brandy Wine Media Group, if you guys, by all means, on YouTube, want to like and subscribe to their stuff. I mean, great rendition again of Sail by AOL Nation by Joe Sharp and Addison Scott there. So thanks again for Joe for allowing us to share it. Thanks to Dave for coming on with us tonight. And I did notice, though, Neff, was it you? Let me go back here because I saw a regional beer pong national team. That would be beyond interesting if that would happen. So that would be phenomenal. But again, tomorrow night we will have Dougie Cornish, fan of the show. I know he wanted to get into as far as boxing, that goober match that we watched about 2 weekends ago, which we'll get into all that tomorrow. Also from the Rough Cut Sportscast, we have AJ Johnson going to be talking with us before the game starts because he is an Atlanta Hawks fan and he wants to join in on the talk as far as when it comes to the NBA. So that will be a lot of fun. So tune in tomorrow. And then Thursday, we have Aaron Wilson from the Houston Texans. So we'll be getting into some talk possibly about Deshaun Watson as much as he can answer because the conversation once again is heating up. So we'll see Aaron Wilson on Thursday, Ducky, AJ tomorrow. Tomorrow's night show is at 7:15. 7:30 will be our regular time on Thursday. So a lot of stuff going on. We thank everyone who tuned in tonight. I see 2 more comments coming in before I take it all the way. Joe, thank you for the compliment. You guys do a great job and I appreciate it. And amazing content. Thank you, Joe, so much. And we'll keep talking, Joe. But again, thank you for that rendition that you gave to us here. So again, Dave, thank you, sir, for coming on. And I'm pretty sure we'll see you again because not only are you so well adverse again, and by the way, for everyone to know, for those who tune in late, David Malandra Jr. only takes off 1 minute of the day, 23:59. When it turns to midnight, he cuts it off and then he starts the day off all over again. So, David, thank you for all the great content.
Anytime.
Angel.
Yes,
Thanks
sir.
for coming on, Dave.
Yep.
No problem.
Appreciate it.
Angel, don't forget to thank a certain person.
Listen, we never forget to thank our great friend, the Goose, from Goose's Monte Cristo Lounge and Tobaccos. Listen, if you notice at the bottom line there, you guys can see, you can visit his shop in Limerick, Pennsylvania, where we will be out there September 12th. The entire gang, including the young man from Clemson there, will be making a trip as well. So we can be there live September 12th as the Eagles will be home. Eagles will be away. Eagles will be away. Eagles will be away in Atlanta.
Be in Atlanta.
I keep forgetting that it's the week after. So they'll be in Atlanta. We will be home is what I meant to say. So it should be a lot of fun. And by the way, Dave, if you'd like to come out there and join us as well, by all means, come out there to Goose's Lounge because it would be a lot of fun to add the extra person at the end of the table. So if you'd like to join us.
Oh, wait, that's my weekend. I think I'm in Penn State that weekend.
Are you?
I'm up there. Yeah, because Penn State plays Ball State in the home opener that weekend. Then the week after, it's Auburn.
Yeah, there's a tough one.
Yeah, sure is.
But Penn State opens the season September 4th at Wisconsin.
Lost.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Now I'm giving the win.
Lost.
Yeah, and Fox Sports already came out and said they're going to bring their pregame show, the big noon kickoff, to Madison, Wisconsin for that game.
Ooh. No,
Thank you, Debbie.
Yeah, well, hold on. I wasn't done yet, but I wasn't done.
And
by the way,
just came in. The Flyers forward Oscar Limbaugh was just named the winner of the Bill Masterson Trophy.
Oh wow! No, and again, we're gonna listen, Dave. You're gonna be on multiple times, so because we're covering all around here. So don't worry, because we'll be talking a whole bunch. But by the way, everyone, I also want to let you guys know as well. If you guys go to BroadStreetSouth.com, not only can we see ourselves here live, which you can always end up watching the show live on BroadStreetSouth.com. By the way, our media partner, Goose's Monte Cristo Lounge and Tobaccos, as you guys can see there as well. If you click on there, you can go there and buy all your fabulous cigar products, whether it's vapes or the natural stuff, by all means. And Doc Rivers, by the way, if you are watching, Doc, I know it's your night off, by all means, please just pick up a cigar from Goose's. It'd be phenomenal for the rest of us. So, if you guys also go over to the store, you can highlight the store here. You will see that our new merchandise is out there. So by all means, stop by, take a look. All right, T-shirts, hoodies, women's leggings. It's there. Men's tank tops, everything that you need, even fanny packs. Yes, fanny packs, tote bags, you name it's there. The only thing that's not there yet, and it will be there shortly, will be the hats. And I'm working on that, and so the hats will be available here momentarily. But again, for Ryan, Debbie, the producer over at Studio B, as I'm here in Studio A, for our young Nick, for Vito Corleone, and again, thanks to David, everyone, we will see you tomorrow night. You can't hear me.
Well, it doesn't matter.
You're probably better off anyway. We're signing off.
Well, he signed off. There you go. So, I love the Doc, great coach. Yeah, Goose, listen, don't worry. We'll be bouncing back, okay? Don't listen to young Ducky up there. His Brooklyn Nets will be okay. They'll be all right. But
they're down
I would
15 right now in the first quarter.
Hey, but you know what, Ducky? In all honesty, I would love to see a Philly Brooklyn Nets matchup. I would love to see that. Unfortunately, Joel Embiid, a little bit hurt. Obviously, the same way with the Knicks. I mean, nasty fall there last night to one of your particular players, Kyrie. But hey, listen, anything can happen come the next series, so we'll see. But to everyone else, thank you again to Goose for being a major contributor to the show and being our media partner. And there'll be some new signage going on here in the background here momentarily. So and poof and be gone. Fuji's just like that. So they're just dropping like flies here at the end of the show. So everyone else, we will see you tomorrow night. As long as I bring, you know what? And just for Ryan, just for Ryan, I'll bring it up there. Just because.
Yeah.
I'll bring it up there.
Right there.
So there's Fuji. He's back. All right, everyone
I'm
else.
all sound.
Ducky, no, I'm working on that. So I did see the comment before I sign off here. I am working on the hats. It needs some fine tuning because if you try to put the stencil work on there and the stitching work, it's got to look good because if not, it's going to look half butt. And I don't believe in selling half butt merchandise. That's not the way we work around here. So anyways, thanks to everyone again for tuning in tonight. We appreciate you very much. We hope to see everyone tomorrow night. Don't forget 7:15 tomorrow with AJ from Rough Cut Sportscast, along with Dougie Cornish, the coach. He will be on with us tomorrow. Then Thursday, once again, Aaron Wilson from the Houston Texans, formerly also of the Baltimore Ravens. So we'll get into some Deshaun talk, some Houston talk, some Aaron Rodgers talk. So there's a lot of NFL talk we're going to be going on Thursday. So that should be a lot of fun for everyone else tonight. Once again, I thank everyone for tuning in. We will see everyone tomorrow night. Have a great night, and we'll see you then.